Well, hello everyone, and welcome back. Sorry, I had not gotten the thingy up or opened yet. There it is. Okay, found it. All right. Hello all. We got Star Song and Vadim. Welcome to the show. Joining me tonight is my host and co-host, Peter. Welcome.
Ooh, it's good to be back.
Well, glad to have you back. And we
Yes.
have one of my editors, Nestlig.
Hello, good to be back.
Good to have you back. um, are we talking about the Prince of Wales tonight? Maybe, potentially. Yes, I am the not bad Jackson. I think I'm the good Jackson. I think Charles Jackson is the bad Jackson. Triceratops. Hi, hello.
I like the Prince of Wales. That's
Yep, the Prince of
that's
Wales.
clever. Clever.
Yeah, I don't remember how I came across these videos. I believe someone linked them to me on Twitter. My background is too gaudy. Sorry. Yeah,
You don't
sorry.
you don't say that about the host. I mean, my background's gaudy. No one tells me ever that my
But
background.
Peter, you're in a real studio. You've got like cameras and chairs back there and stuff.
Yeah,
Not me. I'm just in my room. So
fake
you know, it's not
fake
the same.
fake cameras and it's as fake as
No,
evolution is. The dog's real though.
no.
But he's
Oh,
he's he's real. He moves. Yeah. See?
no. Yeah, someone sent me one of these. I think it's the whale video. Someone sent it to me on um Twitter, or I came across it on Twitter. I don't quite remember, I don't care enough to look it up. So we got Jamie E and Science Side Up. Hello. And Savage Geological Species Concept Cobra. so so yeah. Um it's kind of weird. It sounds like kind of an AI voice from like the little bit that I heard.
Yeah.
The
Well,
the
probably one of the first AI voices out there. Not,
or well, I mean it's or AI is not the right word. It's like a voice to text sort of
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
That's what I
They
meant to
have they
say.
haven't evolved to AI yet. It's
Right. Well, because it looks like the picture, it's like a woman on as like half of the thumbnail, and she's definitely like an AI image or whatever. Um, but at any rate,
where have we
so yeah, we're gonna watch several of those.
where did we how did we get here where Christians don't even want to be on screen anymore talking about the things they know nothing about, being completely ashamed, using AI images and text to speech. I don't know. You'd
That's
think
for
they should be proud. Okay, someone's getting the zoomies. Hold on.
yeah. They usually do the whole like I'm not ashamed, I am unashamed to proclaim the gospel
Yes.
and all that. Um, Savage Geological Species Concept Cobra says that's for Rob Carter not distinguishing between geology and paleontology. I like it. It's pretty funny. Um, yeah. So we're gonna watch several of these because each one is like 4 to 5 minutes long. They're pretty short. It's kind of like PragerU, in that everything they say is wrong and the videos are like 5 minutes. So, you know,
Or more like budget PragerU.
budget PragerU.
Yeah.
Um,
Budget you.
budget you. I think
Budget
that's a
you.
dollar store.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're gonna watch several of those. One of them, the first one's like, he's gonna talk about why whale evolution is fake or whatever. Um, then there's a few that are like science versus evolution, I think, and then there's one that's on failed evolutionary predictions, which bonk bonk.
Ah.
Which I did a video on a long time ago. I think it was like 4 years ago. I think I did a video on evolutionary predictions, and so I think that one struck me as fun to watch. The most recent video on that channel is called like Atomic Theory versus Evolution, which I'm not even sure how that would work, but all right, why not?
Yeah, I almost got
Gravity
one
versus
video.
evolution.
I almost got one video wrong because they have science versus evolution or something like
Mhm.
that, and then they have scientists versus evolution.
Well, I'm sure
Wh-
that one would be like, the Descent from Darwin list or something like that.
I don't know. Hey, cut it out. We need to do a show. Stop watching Orange Dogs. Behave. That works.
um. So yeah. So
We need
we're ready.
the Tom Rabbit sound of kicked. You know the ding, or what just happened in chat. I like it though.
Do we?
Yeah.
Um. hmm. All right. You guys
So
ready? Ready to jump right into these?
yeah, let's see what happens.
All right. Let's do it.
Debunking evolution, whale stories. A just so story. Once upon a time, a deer decided to go for a swim, and so it evolved flippers and became a whale.
That's
Or maybe
exactly
it
what
was a
happened.
bear that did this. Or maybe a
Yes.
hippopotamus.
It was all of the
Here's
above, actually.
I love it
Yeah.
how they start off with, well, maybe it was this, maybe it was that. We don't know. Put some
It's
effort
the
in it.
also the exact same thing that
Long story short, did
yeah,
Yeah.
I hate to bring them up again, but it's just a is it just a recurrent theme? The same arguments keep
Well,
popping up again and
Well,
again.
because remember, now he works for the Discovery Institute, so they're just putting out his videos. It's not his own channel anymore. It's the DI puts him out there, So he's got a much wider audience now. But yes, yeah, it's literally the same argument. So basically, when they say, "Oh, maybe it was a deer, maybe it was a whale, maybe it was a hippopotamus, maybe it was a bear," what they're saying is they're basically taking popular descriptions of like Pakicetus and Ambulocetus, which you can say like Pakicetus had some bear-like qualities, or it had some bear-like qualities, or it had some raccoon-like qualities. I think was another one.
Mhm.
But Pakicetus is an artiodactyl, so it's an even hoof mammal, meaning that deer are also even hoof mammals. So you could say the ancestor of modern whales was an even hoof mammal, like deer are modern even hoof mammals. And also, hippos are the sister group to whales, or the extant sister group to whales. So you could say, like, if you're talking about whale evolution, inevitably you mention that hippos are the sister group. So they just kind of toss all of these like animals
Yeah.
that are mentioned in this discussion as though scientists literally think that any one of these modern animals gave rise to whales. They don't. Pakicetus was not a deer, it was not a hippo, it was not a bear or raccoon or whatever. It was it was a carnivorous even hoofed mammal, which is wild to think about. Um
We
that
still have some carnivory today. Like
well, sure, like pigs
I
will do
actually
it.
met many, strangely enough, many artiodactyls like eat meat from time to time.
Well, sure,
There
pigs,
are
peccaries, yeah.
yeah.
Hippos.
Also even theirs also like like deers have been known to like grab a bird and just
Yes.
eat just eat it.
Right, yeah. There's a video, Trey. The first time I saw it was like I think Trey the Explainer's channel of like a cow eating a chick, like a little
Yeah.
little baby chicken. The cow just goes nope, just eats it, which is probably a way to supplement calcium.
Nuggets.
Nuggets, yeah. Yeah, it's probably a way to supplement calcium. A deer will like lick the bones of animals like that they find they just come across, and that's probably another way to supplement calcium for their own antler growth.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, so these are animals that are mentioned in this discussion, but hippos are not literally descended from any of these. It's similar to, if humans descended from monkeys, why are there still monkeys?
Yeah.
Which
And
I
I think it's also
guarantee
oh,
we're
sorry.
going to come across this argument in the form of like, oh, well, why is whale evolution not a perfect line? Guarantee
Mhm.
we're gonna come across it.
And
What'd you say,
I think
Nestle?
it's also I think it's also due to the fact that most artiodactyls are also ruminants, and they are like highly specialized to like grazers and such, and that's
Right.
why, that's why we have the surprising reaction that there were once very very carnivorous artiodactyls, but most of
Oh
these were
yeah, like the
oh
entelodons
yeah exactly.
and mesonychids. Or nope, sorry,
I'm missing
mesonychids
that.
are not artiodactyls anymore.
Yeah. I think so. Mesonychids are still a sister group, right, to
Yeah, I think they're sister to
artiodactyls.
artiodactyls. Yeah, my bad.
Yeah, and there is one. Like I think Andrewsarchus, which was once considered to be a mesonychid, it's now
It's
within
in the
the
artiodactyls. Yeah.
in the
Mhm.
Ripomorpha, the group that includes the hippos and
Which
cetaceans.
isn't
Yeah.
that funny? Like it was thought Andrewsarchus was a mesonychid, and that mesonychids were the ancestral group to whales. Then mesonychids got moved out of Artiodactyla, but then Andrewsarchus got moved back into Artiodactyla. So yeah, it's funny stuff. Yeah, there used to be lots of carnivorous Artiodactyls, but I don't think Perissodactyls had any carnivorous members. Like the Calicotheres had those big claws, but they were for stripping trees. They weren't for like killing prey. So yeah, so
At least I don't think. Well, is carnivory the ancestral condition? Maybe just
oh
more omnivorous, probably
sure.
more ancestral. Yeah,
Sure.
I would guess. So yeah. So I'm not sure there's any relatives to the perissodactyls that I know of that are predominantly carnivorous. Of course,
Hmm.
I would guess that horses, even horses, like eat a bird from time to time.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's like I saw a meme the other day that said, "Are you a tender lover?" No, I'm more of a Dino Nuggets kind of guy. You
Yeah.
know? I thought that was
It's
very
like
funny.
the categories of carnivory and herbivory. They are not absolute. Again, yeah, it's not an
Right.
absolute guard. Yeah, I think we can move on before we come to a halt
Right.
again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think we need a little bit of clarification for the dear grassy person who just got hammered. We're not debunking Christianity. We're debunking Christianity 101, which is a channel name. Oh,
Right. This is not actually about Christianity.
yeah.
The channel is just called Christianity 101. It is
Well,
not
you can't
it's not
expect.
this is
Well,
we're not arguing with Christians.
Yeah,
maybe you can add quotation marks to make it clearer.
well, I mean, you can't expect a
Yeah.
creationist to be able to read. I mean, where would we be?
Oh, you can read as if say, oh, this is not, we are going to debunk we're going to debunk Christianity 101. Like you
Yeah.
can read it like that, maybe.
I think I said that for the
So
title,
some
didn't
of the
I?
confusion, yeah.
Yeah, I said
Yeah.
debunking Christianity 101 videos. I tried to make it
Oh,
clearer.
oh,
I tried to make it
right,
clear,
yeah.
and then I said in the description that it's the channel. Yeah,
Yeah.
videos from the channel Christianity
As
101. I tried to make
as
it
I
clearer.
said, young earth creationists and reading, it's always a tough combination.
Yeah.
Continue.
Okay.
Alright.
Anyway, yes.
Yeah,
The
sure, yes.
science version, with no offense meant. Our working hypothesis for the origin of whales is that row-elid ancestors, although herbivores or omnivores on land, took to fresh water in times of danger. Lewison et al., Nature, 2007.
Yes.
Evolution
Okay.
believers believe that a deer-like creature, or a bear-like creature, or a
Also,
hippo-like creature
pause for a
evolved
moment.
into a whale over
Like small correction, Rauwellets are again technically a sister group, but it's a minor correction. Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, we have to always mention these things, like a difference between a sister group and an ancestral group. There are distinct differences between these. All right, sorry about that.
Also, Nestle, you're Dutch. So the animal on screen.
So I've been told.
Yeah, the animal on screen.
Yeah.
Do you know what that is?
It's a
Yeah,
mouse
it's
deer,
a
isn't it?
duiker.
Isn't it a dick?
I don't think so. I think that's a mouse deer.
I
I don't
know.
think it's a dick. Because dik-diks are African. I'm pretty sure it's a mouse deer.
actually,
hold on. Let me look it up.
actually,
It is a mouse deer. Chevertain. Yeah.
okay. So what we do have,
Dicks have tiny antlers coming out of their head.
Oh yeah, no, then I'm wrong. What's the small deer from China called?
The small. Let me look it up. Small
Yeah,
deer,
because
China.
we seem to have those in the Netherlands, and they're going to shoot them because they're
The
an invasive.
muntjac.
Yeah,
Talking about the muntjac.
I think it is. I'm not entirely
Yeah,
sure.
I think it's the muntjac. They're pretty small.
Yeah, we recently had one close to where I live, and they're going to shoot them because they're not allowed in the Netherlands.
Let me see. Genetics.
I thought maybe Nestle had seen that as well in the news.
Oh, I thought you were referring to the like there's also an antelope or I don't know remember is it a deer or an antelope? It's called the duiker.
How do you spell that?
Duiker.
Oh, that's a cow. Isn't it? Isn't that a bovid? Or that would be an antelope. That would be an antelope. Yeah.
It's an antelope. Yeah,
Cephalophaene.
it's called a duiker. Duiker means diving for Dutch because these things when they jump, they seem like they are diving constantly, and that's why they're called duiker in Dutch.
Yeah, I've heard of these guys.
I seem to have derailed the entire conversation. So my apologies. I tend to do that.
It's all right. We'll let it slide this one time. Next time,
but this is a mouse deer. Yes, this is a mouse deer. All right.
Yeah. It's Chevertain. Yeah.
For a period of about 10 million years.
However, right, it nests outside of the cervids. I'm sorry, I keep interrupting. It's outside cervidae. Anyways, moving on.
Science falsifies that just so story. In this video, we provide a brief overview of how and why science falsifies that story. Thesis 1. Fossil ancestry is just bedtime storytelling. Quote, paleontologist in evolutionary biology.
What?
You can't infer any relationships from fossils at all? Even creationists don't take that line typically. Bananas.
I'm just wondering. So, creationist family, kids go to bed, and they say, "Daddy, tell us about the fossils again." That's a boring bedtime story. If there ever was one.
Basically, they are making the it's just the bones on paper argument.
Yes.
Not lines on paper, bones on paper.
So there were bones in the dirt all over the earth.
So just remember, for this argument to be true, you have to. I don't even know, like, where would be the cutoff, right? Because I mean, of course, creationists accept that organisms fall into kinds, and so the point of kinds is that you can accept anatomical and genetic similarities, or accept that anatomical and genetic similarities indicate relatedness, but only to a defined degree. Now, of course, there's no explanation for what that definition is, but
there's no defined degree.
Right, there is no defined degree, but they would like to believe there is. That's the whole point of kinds. So, so Rauelidae, if we're going with the family level, would be a kind, right? And then you'd have like Pachycetidae and Ambulocetidae. Now, the issue is when you do this, you come to the problem of where do you delineate? Because if you make a delineation between two groups that share a lot of similarities, you start having problems. Like, you have to make the case that God just kind of likes to make things look similar, but they aren't related. And this isn't convergent evolution because they have the same parts, right? It's not like you're looking at the wing of a bat versus the wing of a bird, and you're like, oh, well, clearly the arm bones are different. No, it's the same bones in the same proportions, in the same places. They're very, very similar. And okay, well, maybe there are like slight proportional differences, but otherwise it's all the same parts that are in the same places. And so you have to figure out some way to be like, okay, well, up to this point, anatomy indicates relatedness, but then after this point, this arbitrary cutoff, suddenly it doesn't anymore, and that's really hard to figure out, which is why creationists haven't done it yet. so
Yeah.
so yeah,
On the
but
up
furthermore,
on the
mhm.
upside, as I told you before we went live, Arn Ra was on a creationist channel yesterday, a former DAL member, talking about evolution. And to my surprise, everyone there was of the opinion that kind should not be used in a scientific context, which to me was a first, and I was really happy to hear that because
Well, there are some creationists who are anti-baraminology. There are a
Mhm.
few of them. There aren't that many anymore, but there are a few because there was a paper I looked at a while back where Phil Center, who is a paleontologist, used uh, baraminological
Oh
analysis
yeah.
to demonstrate that birds are theropods. And so a creationist saw that paper and said, this is the problem with baraminology. It allows birds to be grouped in with dinosaurs.
Well, was that I forgot his name? Wood something? Wood.
I don't remember. It's been so long since
Yeah.
I
I'm
looked at the
like
paper.
who is the creationist who is called who has Wood in his last name? I don't know. Wood something, I think.
I don't know. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
Maybe I might be able to find it. Depending on how far back it was, I may be able to find it. Let me see. Aha!
So it's Todd Wood. Todd
Oh,
Wood.
Todd Wood?
Yeah.
Oh, no, it
Yeah.
wasn't Todd Wood who
No,
said
no.
that.
All right.
Hold on 1 second. Ah, here it is. This was a paper by blah 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 Wilson. What was That's not it. Hold on. Where's the other one?
oh,
Okay, it was in Answers in Genesis. Okay, so this guy wrote. It was Gordon Wilson, and he wrote an article at Answers in Genesis talking about um, the methodology used by some baraminologist to like group organisms together, and he was like, well, this particular methodology for doing that leaves us open to attacks by evolutionists
Mm-hmm.
regarding the Phil Center paper. So yeah.
So basically, the argument is that when they say that, they're basically saying, no, 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 our goalpost has to have wheels. Don't
Yes.
cut off the wheels.
Right. Yeah.
by the way, a fun fact: Todd Wood is still trying to bury his admission that evolution is indeed a fact after Paulogia found that on his blog. But his honesty keeps him from deleting it completely. He's
Mhm.
changed the page a couple of times because it got a lot of attention from evolutionists, which is kind of funny. So well done, Paul. I'm still using that page, by the way, to link to creationists.
I believe. Oh, so sorry.
No, go
Okay,
ahead.
I didn't mean to cut you off. I believe that the methodology that Phil Center used was from Todd Wood, I think.
Yes. Yeah, you're
Todd
right.
Wood, yeah,
Yes.
that's why I got confused. Yeah, all right.
Okay, I gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, it
All right.
was it was the methodology that Todd Wood used, which Phil Center
Yeah.
used, and then Gordon Wilson said, "Hey, this is what's wrong with it."
All right, got it.
Yep. Sorry.
Dr. Henry G. To take a line of fossils and claim that they represent a lineage is not a scientific hypothesis that can be tested, but an assertion that carries the same validity as a bedtime story. Amusing, perhaps even instructive, but not scientific. Henry G. In Search of Deep
Pause.
Time, 1999.
Here, pause for a second. Okay, so it's true. Obviously you can't directly like genetically test fossils. Typically, sometimes you can, but usually you can't. To like definitively show that this fossil is ancestral to this other one. Typically, you can't do that. So what you do is use this magical thing called inductive reasoning. Ooh, so fancy. And you're basically just, taking these data points and you are incorporating them into a larger theory or narrative um, about something, some phenomenon in science. When paleontologists find fossils, what they do is they put these fossils in a phylogenetic context, right? They figure out what exactly each organism is. Is it normal or is it unusual that they occur in this particular stratum? Were they expecting it? Were they not? How do its characters relate to other organisms? And when they do this, they generate not only a phylogeny, so an this evolutionary relatedness among these organisms, but also these time scales on which these organisms lived, right? So that's all part of the normal paleontological process. And what that shows is, well, a couple of things. One, it shows that lineages diversify with time, which we expect under evolution. It also shows that that you have phylogeny correlating with stratigraphy. So you have
Hmm.
you don't have the famous example that I think was it Haldane gave with you don't find rabbits in the Cambrian
Yeah.
or elephants or humans. You find primitive bilaterians in the late Precambrian. Then you find early crown bilaterians in the early Cambrian. Then you find the vertebrates a little bit later, and then jawed vertebrates, and so on and so on. This is the pattern we expect.
Yeah.
Now, we can't show with the exception of a handful of examples that there are very few fossils where we can say that this is directly ancestral to another thing instead of it's like a sister group to something else.
Yeah.
But we don't
It's
have
the
to.
common assumption is that there are more cousins than direct ancestors. So
Right.
unless you have good reason, the default is that they are cousins instead of direct ancestors.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, we're typically we don't say something is directly ancestral. We say these are relatives who are both descended from a common ancestor who had a particular set of characteristics, which we can infer those um, based on those descendants. Right? We can make that inference. And so while we can't, again we can't genetically test it, we can make a pretty reasonable inference based on the fossils. And we talked about this with Rob the other day, or was it 2 weeks ago, whenever it was. And it's we can do this. There's nothing wrong with doing this. It's just inductive reasoning. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, creationists do it too. They just won't tell you where they stop doing it. Anyways, okay, we can keep going.
Thesis 2. Similarity does not prove common ancestry. 1. Story 1. In one version of the story, a deer-like creature became a whale, over 10 million years. 2. Quote, Indohyus. A small, stocky artiodactyl, roughly the size of the raccoon Procyon lotor. It was not an
Okay.
adept swimmer. Instead it waded in shallow water, with its heavy bones providing ballast to keep its feet anchored. Indohyus may have fed on land, although a specialized aquatic diet is also possible. The modern
Okay.
artiodactyl morphologically most similar to Indohyus is probably the African mouse deer. The Wisson et al., Nature, 2007. 3. My comment. This was claimed to be a whale ancestor based on tooth and ear morphology, limb bone density, and oxygen isotope
Okay.
values, as a measure of similar habitat and diet. 4. However, similarity is not proof of common ancestry. The similarity can arise from
Wait, pause. Okay, what's the wait, what's even the argument here? The similarity can arise from convergent evolution. Okay, this is not convergence. We would know if this were convergence. One way we can tell if it were convergence is if, it didn't have all the diagnostic characteristics that cetaceans have, like the involucrum, for instance, that inner ear bone that is exclusively unique to whales. It also has the ankle bone, which I think you just mentioned, that is exclusively unique, or the shape is exclusively unique of artiodactyls. So you would have to say, okay, it a separate lineage that nests somewhere else. We're not really sure where. It nests somewhere, but it has these characteristics that are exclusively diagnostic of these two groups, one of which is nested within the other group based on genetics. And it also has a bunch of characteristics that it shares in common with Pakicetus, Ambulocetus, Basilosaurus. Like it has all these particular, these very long, pointy rostrum. It has particular types of teeth for catching fish. No, it's just convergent. Like, why? What about that leads you to think it's convergent? Genuinely, what could it be? I don't know. I don't know what
Me
they could think.
neither.
Um,
It's also worthy to point out that like in actual studies, what they do is they just describe many fossils and they make a matrix of like
right,
hundreds of characters,
right,
and then you have an algorithm that figures out what is the best explanation for this data, and you can see that like you have like one or several similar topologies for your relationships, and you see that most traits are basically homologs. They are derived from a common ancestor, but sometimes you see like one or a few traits popping up independently, and those are then
hmm
concluded to be convergent evolution.
right,
That's because of the method that you are using that gives
right.
you back the results back.
And you're operating on like parsimony. You are putting
Yes.
into this algorithm to essentially make it operate on like what is the most parsimonious, barring extenuating, data or whatever.
Yeah.
What is the most parsimonious explanation, right? So what requires the fewest changes to like group these organisms together?
Yeah.
And so mathematically, based on this algorithm, you can develop or you can see like what is most likely a result of convergence, what is most likely a what's called a plesiomorphic character, so a character that is ancestral um, in this lineage. Um, so yeah, it's not just like they're not just guessing about it. This is like
Mhm.
math. These are mathematical models that are
We can bring
determined.
up a good example of somebody who does exactly the opposite, like Alan Verduccia or Verducca.
Right.
Like
Yep.
he would like before his original position was that birds are not dinosaurs, but then he is updated to include that even the Maniraptors, like the Velociraptor and also the Oviraptor, I believe.
hmm
The
And
Oviraptors are also
troodontids.
not,
Yeah.
yeah, and Troodontids. They are also not dinosaurs. They are just birds that have coincidentally evolved all the characteristics that typify the theropod dinosaurs.
How convenient.
Just all of them, all of the characteristics that identify them as theropods. Yeah,
That's crazy. What a coincidence. What a magical
no
coincidence.
coincidence. Yeah,
Um the B says common functional requirements. This doesn't work either because because again, um uh, uh, Rauelids have the diagnostic characters of cetaceans and artiodactyls. So obviously there are other aquatic mammals that don't
yeah,
have the diagnostic characters of whales, i.e., manatees don't, and seals don't. It's just
yeah.
not a thing.
Yeah,
They
you
don't.
can. It's very difficult to confuse seals for whales unless you're
Yes.
AIG.
Oh yeah, like that one time, yeah, where they said was it Myocetus,
Yeah,
or Perucetus, something like that. Yeah, one of the
I
like
think.
the early whales they
Yeah,
said was a seal, and it's like, are you insane? Yeah. Um. Yeah, that was pretty funny. And um so like you can have hoof mammals that don't have the diagnostic artiodactyl ankle bones. You can have aquatic mammals that don't have the diagnostic whale inner ear bones. These are not common functional requirements. A common functional requirement of aquatic mammals is like a shortened femur.
Mhm.
That's a common functional requirement. Okay, we can't say that, you know, having a shortened femur is homologous among them. No, that's a convergent feature. They lose like hind limb function before losing forelimb function. Um, but the involucrum, or the astragalus having the pulley shape, no, that's ridiculous. There's no reason for that.
And it was also
Doesn't work.
directly predicted. Like of course, originally we had the Mesonicate hypothesis, but then the genetic data showed that whales are nested within the even-toed ungulates, which would predict that the ancestors of whales also had the traits of even-toed ungulates, like the unique ankle they have. And we found these fossils. We have
Whoa.
many whales that have these ankles. Coincidentally, again.
What a coincidence! What a crazy world we live in. Wild
Yeah.
stuff. Okay, we can keep going.
Completely off topic. Pastor Freya just
Okay.
asked, here, did you see a recent paper on an extant goat living on a small resource-poor island that became a cold-blooded animal? I haven't seen that. Have you?
Wait, what? Extinct goat, cold blood. Hold on. I gotta look this up now.
Mm-hmm.
Extinct goat, cold blooded. Extinct goat was cold blooded. Okay. Or this is extinct. Yeah. Oh, the Myotragus. Okay. Oh yeah, we've talked about Myotragus before because it's a chrono species. That's also the guy who has like the eyes on his front. Eyes on the front of the face instead of eyes on the side of the head. Okay, so they had slow metabolism or slower metabolism relative to other bovids. Okay, that's cool.
I think I would guess it's probably the sloth or something like it was probably even lower metabolism
Yeah,
than
you're
this.
probably right.
Yeah.
Can you
Yeah,
put the
I don't like cold blooded. That I don't like their
Yeah.
calling it cold blooded. It had slower metabolism. That's what the point is.
Can you put the
Yes.
link in the private chat here, Jackson?
Oh,
I'd love
shoot.
to have
Okay,
a
yeah,
look
one
at
second.
that after the show.
Well, I found an article about it. So here, I'll put that right. It's got a link to the original, but here's a press release.
Also, this goat was like human faced, what like the eyes.
Well, that's what I was saying. Yeah, the
forward.
eyes
Yeah.
were on the front of the face because there are no predators on the Balearic
Yeah.
Islands. So yeah, it had forward-facing eyes. It would have been like a sphinx or something. You know, you like approach it and it has 3 riddles for you. You know.
Hey.
Uh,
Okay, continue.
anyways. Yes.
From A. Convergent evolution. B. Common
Nope.
functional requirements. C.
Nope.
Common structural requirements.
That's
and
the
D.
same
Common
thing.
design. 5.
Wait, pause.
Story 2. In a similar
Pause. Okay, common functional and common structural requirements are the same thing. Those mean the same thing. Okay.
Also, like it's also very, very easy to point out that like function is not like dependent on structure like a one-to-one. Like we have many different structures that perform the same function. Like if you look at the inside of shark fins, like they have the same size and a similar shape to dolphins, yet the internal structure is quite different. The internal structure of whales is pretty much that of any other tetrapod like mammals. Again, coincidence.
Yeah, no, it's just silly. That didn't make any sense. And then common
Yeah.
design, yeah, you can always posit common design, but it doesn't explain anything. There's a really good paper that came out in 2013. It's titled like Beyond Reasonable Doubt or something like that. Basically, the paper looks at it takes like clades and it figures out the ancestral sequence for that clade based on the modern members.
Yes.
And it finds that like the more and more like clades that you include in this, like the further you go back in time, basically, the more similar like sister clades become to each other in their primitive or their
Yes.
ancestral DNA sequences, which is exactly what we expect on evolution. We expect for that to happen. So I know, big
And it's
shock,
also
crazy.
and it's also like the as you mentioned, the common design thing. It's just an ad hoc, or as someone would put it, rescuing device. An
Oh
ad hoc
yeah.
rescue device, yeah. But because like as I mentioned before about the like you have the method of cladistic taxonomy where you have like many 100 character traits or sometimes even genetic data where the results are just given to you in statistical terms. Like each tree or each node within the tree can have a statistical value for how certain we are based on our data, how certain we are that this topology or this relationship is correct. But if you have a counterfactual where instead of the data being constrained by common ancestry, it's unconstrained by common ancestry. Like, oh, you can have different traits popping up anywhere. Like you can have chimeras, for example, like a lion with bird wings. You
Right.
know, then your
Nestle.
methodology. Yeah,
Have
then
you
your
considered the
methodology.
platypus?
Yeah, I know, I know, I know.
Sorry,
But
sorry.
no worries. But if you have such data that's unconstrained by common descent, then your methodology won't be able to put a high significance to any relationship. But the common the common design argument can just say the same thing regardless whatever situation you are able to find. Like, oh, if it's A, if the reality is A, oh, common design. B, oh, common design. Like it doesn't matter what the reality is. You can always say the same thing, but that's not the case with the cladistic methodology that you have.
And fun fact for anyone who's curious, we do actually have examples of things that arise by non-common ancestry. So, for instance,
Mhm.
viruses. There is no universal common ancestor of viruses. There just
Yes.
wasn't one. Viruses arise at different points from, or there are lots of different um, like different clades of viruses that arose independently. There is not like there was one single virus, or one single population of viruses ancestrally that then gave rise to all other viruses. That didn't happen. So
Yeah.
because if you try to do that, if you try to make a phylogeny of all viruses, it will not work. Your program, your algorithm won't be able to build a phylogeny that way. It just won't work. It can't work.
There's
So
also there's also an interesting argument. Oh, sorry. If you want to
no, go
finish
ahead. Go
first,
ahead.
sorry. Also, an interesting argument that like goes into the origin of life. Like maybe you've heard about this term. It's called the Darwinian threshold. By it was proposed by Carl Rose, and Carl Rose proposed that before a certain point, what you have is horizontal gene transfer is so extensive that you have no preservation of a tree basically. But after the Darwinian threshold, basically it's probably because of the origins of the ribosome and the genetic code that basically constrains a horizontal gene transfer, and after that point you begin to see phylogenetic relationship, and perhaps viruses are like the basically a remnant of the pre-Darwinian threshold era, or at least some of them, and that's why
Hmm.
you don't see any phylogenetic relationship between all viruses.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was trying to find. We had a question about it in the chat. Oh, from DM, artificially selected ceratopsian wing, but Jax, they're all the bacteria kind. Correct, exactly. Sorry, I was trying to find um an example to explain better what I meant. Da, 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 trying to find an example for like the uh for like viruses. I probably should have. Well, I'm
Oh, what are you looking for?
so like yeah, for like viruses. For like how I was saying viruses don't have common ancestors. I was trying to figure out a better way of explaining that. Um,
It's just like if you look at all the genes that all viruses have,
mhm,
they don't have a universally shared gene. But
right.
there are genes that are very common among viruses. Like every retrovirus has the reverse transcriptase
Mhm.
that makes that turns RNA into DNA. That is necessary for retro transcription. Yeah. That's why they are called retroviruses. They do the opposite of what is we usually expect for where DNA is being transcribed into RNA. But these viruses, I think also HIV is a retrovirus. It goes from RNA back to DNA when it during its life cycle.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah. So for some of them, yeah, you can find common ancestors, but there's no universal common ancestor for
Yeah,
all viruses.
I highly recommend Eugene Koonin's presentations. You can look him up. He talks about viruses and their relationships very extensively. Although uh, he, he has an accent like me. He also has an accent, but still, I think
No.
I highly
Hello.
recommend. I still highly recommend his talks.
You have an accent, Nestle? I haven't noticed.
So I've been told.
All right. Anyway, we can keep going.
Okay.
Similar story, hippo-like creatures allegedly evolved into whales. And here is a
Mm.
quote from a paper that confirms what we have stated above, about convergent evolution, not requiring common ancestry. 6.
Okay.
Quote, yet despite some shared specializations for life in the water, it is currently unclear to what extent cetaceans and hippos evolved these adaptations independently, i.e., convergent evolution, or whether they are
Here,
ancestral
pause.
traits, i.e.,
Pause.
common ancestry.
What I am willing to bet they're referring to is like smooth skin and internal testes.
Yeah, I think
I'm
so. Yeah, there was also like a recent paper. Maybe this is the same paper, but there was a recent paper that also described these independent things. Yeah.
yeah. There's a question as to like yeah, are the smooth skin like the mostly being hairlessness of hippos and whales, is that convergent or is that a a plesiomorphy for both of them? Well, as of right
Mhm.
now, we don't really know. I mean, fossils really don't preserve hair, um, especially not ones that were like 40 million years old. So we may never know. Um, Same for like internal testes. Is that convergent? Is that ancestral? Who knows? We can't really tell from the fossils again because that's soft tissue.
I think all the other artiodactyls have external testes, right? The
I
other,
think so. I'm
yeah.
not positive, but I think so.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's like, do we know? We don't really know. But the question is not, is the astragalus ankle bone that hippos have, just like deer and cows and giraffes, and pachycetids, is that convergent? Like no one's arguing that. It's the same exact bone. So what the video author here is dishonestly trying to do, because I guarantee they didn't read that paper. We all know they didn't read that paper. We know they're copying it from like Answers in Genesis or something, um, and just trying to pass it off as, oh, we don't know what characteristics are adaptations which are convergent. Okay, that's no. They're basically trying to take this one quote out of context and make it mean more than it actually did. So
Hmm.
I know, shocking. The creationists are being dishonest. Who could have seen it
I
coming?
do like we also have like stem hippos, right? Like
Yeah,
are they also
like
all inferred?
Americopotamus. Yeah,
Yeah. Are they also all inferred to being like closely associated with water, or like some of them pretty terrestrial? I don't know. I'm not
I
familiar with
think they're pretty. I think they're mostly semi-aquatic.
it. Hmm.
From what I remember, I believe they're mostly semi-aquatic.
And so maybe even raw elids are also like associated with water as well. So it can be the case that even at the last common ancestor, we still have a mammal. It's very often near or likes to live in aquatic habitats. But of course, that doesn't mean that every single trait, like as you mentioned, smooth skin, maybe that evolved independently, perhaps. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, these are things that we just can't know because the fossils don't
Mhm.
preserve the tissue, so we're just kind of left being like, well, maybe, maybe not. I mean, it's not super important. I mean, after all the major morphological, all the like the internal morphological characteristics related to the bones, like we've got that pretty well down. You know, we're
Yeah.
not really having big debates about that. That's been largely resolved.
Yeah,
So,
like I think one thing you can perhaps do is like look at the genes, and if you can see a gene that's involved in like body hair, and
right.
maybe you see like a mutation, and if you see the same mutation in both groups, then you can be pretty certain that it's a common trait from the common ancestor. But if they are broken in different ways, then it's probably independent. Like one of the example you can also look at is the gulo gene
Right.
in primates.
Right.
Like in primates, the way that the gulo gene, which is the gene involved in making vitamin C, which we and other wet-nosed primates cannot do, and that gene is broken in the exact same way in all
Wait, aren't we the
wet-nosed
dry-nosed
primates.
primates? Because we're the haplorhines. Aren't the strepsirrhines the wet-nosed
Oh,
primates?
I think these the strepsirrhines, like the lemurs, they can still
Right,
synthesize
they can still do
vitamin
it.
C.
Yeah, but we
Yeah,
can't. Okay, I got
we
you. I
can.
got you.
Yeah,
I got you.
yeah.
Okay.
But there are also other lineages like the guinea pig. They also cannot synthesize vitamin C, but their gene is broken in a different way than
Right.
ours is. So that
Right.
happened independently, and much more recently too.
Right. Yeah.
Mhm.
Which, yeah. So that's a very easy way to see convergent evolution instead of common ancestry.
Yes.
Yeah. So, okay. Yeah, we can keep going.
Although some fossil evidence suggests the former, i.e., convergent evolution. Sadko, Georgia, Royal Society Open Science, 2015. 7. My comment. Notice that convergent evolution can explain the similarity between past hippos and whales.
No.
So, such items of similarity do not prove that whales evolved from past hippos. The same is the case with Indohyus or deer-like creatures. Conclusion. Similarity does not prove whale-hippo or whale-Indohyus common ancestry. Thesis 3.
Wrong.
Genetics falsifies whale evolution. 1.
What?
The scientific...
What?
Oh no, are we going to have the waiting time argument again?
Almost certainly. Almost
Yeah.
certainly.
Anyone else notice that there was a flying whale?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
We
have those down here. They're terrible. They're the worst.
So earlier you kicked someone from the chat, and I'm having
That didn't happen.
terrible things happen to me because this particular person also uses speech to text to speech for his videos, and pretty much the same arguments. Are we sure that that's not one of his channels? I don't know.
That'd be very funny if it was. That'd be very funny.
Yeah. Okay, let's continue.
Scientific literature indicates that 10 to 30% of genes are orphan genes in a species
Oh my
with
god,
no
not this
homology and other
argument
taxa.
again.
Whales have about 21,000 protein coding genes. This means 2,000 to 7,000 are orphan genes.
Okay.
A generous lower bound is 1,000 orphan genes.
Hey,
Eukaryotic proteins average around 400.
Pause. Okay. We've done this. I think we've done this multiple times. Usually Jonathan Wells likes to bring up this argument that, oh, orphan genes, ooh. Orphan genes are genes for which you cannot find homologs of that gene in other organisms, other lineages. So, orphan genes occur at all taxonomic ranks. Did someone make a bingo card? Says Creation Myths, Dr. Dan. Um, yeah. So basically, orphan genes occur at all taxonomic ranks.
I think you can also find orphan genes within a species as well.
Right. With like rice, there was some. It was like, I think you mentioned it. You found a paper that was like there are orphan genes in different,
Yeah.
like subspecies of rice. So yeah,
Yes.
within the species you have orphan genes. Um, Sorry, can't find homologs as protein coding genes in sister groups. Thank you, Dr. Dan. Yeah. So there are, for instance, there are orphan genes in the bonobo that the common chimpanzee doesn't have. And there are orphan genes that both common chimps and bonobos have together that no other great apes have. And there are orphan genes all great apes have that no other apes share, that so they aren't shared with the gibbons and vice versa. And so you can just keep going out and out and out and out and out like that, and it works. Um, and so this isn't an argument. Really, this is actually a very good argument for common ancestry. It's not an argument against common ancestry. And the reason it's a good argument for is if a particular set of organisms share this orphan gene, well, then the best explanation for why they share it is they're descended from a common ancestor who had it. So if you want to go with that, if you accept the reasoning of that argumentation, which they do for some orphan genes, but not for others, it's very weird. They're very selective because, again, as we mentioned earlier, with kinds, none of this makes any sense, right? There's no delineation, there's no statistical method for figuring out where one kind ends and another begins, or what have you. So they just kind of have to go, yeah, we accept these orphan genes, but not these other ones. And so, um, yeah, it just this doesn't make any sense. What did SFT say about orphan genes? I don't know. What did he say, Dr. Dan? I don't remember. But Jonathan Wells from the Discovery Institute, he likes to say orphan genes are the key factor that separates organisms. Okay, so then is every single species and in some cases subspecies, is that the created kind? Like, well, no, obviously not. It doesn't. That doesn't make any sense. Nestle, do you want to jump on there?
Sure. Like I also want to mention that, like as you mentioned about the species of rice, like there's one paper that beautifully shows that like different species of rice,
Mm-hmm.
uh, that they can identify, some species have like an open reading frame there, but not yet a full-fledged gene, and then when you go to a different relative, then you have the full gene.
Mm.
There, so like, and they can show the step by step acquisition of a full functioning gene. And I showed this paper to somebody in like the peaceful science forum,
Mm-hmm.
and when like they were asking for an example, and I gave it to him, and they came back and say like, oh, I do think that plants maybe are able to generate some de novo genes through recombination, resulting in some exon changes based on turf study. Like I'm quoting them right now. I
Mm-hmm.
have seen this in other examples. I have not seen anything like this for vertebrates. Have you? And I was like, yeah, I'm not going to play this disingenuous game called Chase the Goalpost. Thank you.
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah,
terrible. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
That's very disingenuous. Um, oh, okay. So Andrew Cummings says apparently SFT thinks the same mechanism of recombination for created heterozygosity could explain orphan genes in different species within the kind. I mean, hey, created heterozygosity doesn't work for anything else. I mean, you might as well just lump everything in there. Also, nestling on that point about the step-by-step acquisition of genes, I believe there was a paper from the Lenski lab that came out maybe within the past month that talked about that. That was
Hmm.
talking about the step-by-step acquisition of genes in there. Hold on, let me find it. Let me see.
Was that the de
Here it is.
novo gene?
I found
Oh,
it.
all right.
Give me a sec. Hold on. Or this is the paper I'm thinking of. Let me see if I'm correct in. Yes. Promoter capture drives the emergence of protogenes in Escherichia coli. Came out Oh, when did this come out? Why is it hard to? Oh, sorry. Okay, no, I was totally off on when it came out. It was November 2023. Okay.
Okay, you link it
Yeah,
in the chat.
I'll put it in
All
our
right.
private chat here if you guys want to throw it out in the live chat. Okay. Oh, also Vandalia for 4.99 says, "You debunked this multiple times. It's almost like you heard this argument again and again and again, but that can't be right." I know, it's crazy. It's almost like creationists don't really have any arguments and they just kind of throw the same thing over and over again.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's still a preprint though. All right, but
Yes, yeah, it's a
still
preprint. Yeah.
maybe still interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so you can check that one out. So,
Yeah.
okay,
All
we can
right.
keep going.
Yeah.
72 amino acids. So, gene length is 1,416 nucleotides. Functional percentage base pairs is 30%, so 425 functional NT. So,
Wait, I don't think
whale
that's
evolution
how that
requires
works.
1,000 orphan genes, or 425,000 functional NT base pairs. 2.
Okay.
For a typical evolving mammal population, with 10,000 members, and 20-year reproduction, to fix a string of 2 nucleotides requires 84 million years, and 5
Oh,
nucleotides requires 2 billion
pause.
years. Sanford et al.
Pause. Hey Dan, it's your favorite argument. Do you see it? Do you see that? It's your favorite argument. Here's another one we've all beaten to death so many times. This is the waiting time problem, as Nestle very presciently predicted. The waiting time problem is garbage. That's why it had to get published in Theoretical Biology and Medical Modeling. Basically, the argument says, how long would it take to fix a predetermined like length of or sequence of nucleotides? That's basically what the argument says. Of course, that's not how evolution works. You're working backwards with the end point in mind. And obviously that's not how evolution works. Evolution is not guided. And if it is guided, then if it's guided, this argument doesn't work. And if it's unguided, this argument doesn't work. It really doesn't work either way. so um so anyways, yeah. So this is a very bad argument. Nobody really takes it seriously. They also make very weird assumptions, as Dan has pointed out in videos he's done on this topic. Like, they assume that the population is haploid, which is super odd. Didn't LSS push this argument in one of the videos you did on whale evolution? Yes, he did, and we beat him on that too. We also talked about how Michael Lynch commented on this argument and pointed out it was bogus. And Michael Behe responded at one point with he didn't even understand what the objection was, which was very funny. So, yeah. Basically, this guy is just riffing Long Story Short, which Long Story Short was riffing Jonathan Wells. So, really, it's just a riff of Jonathan Wells. So yeah.
Theoretical Biology and Medical Modeling, 2015. Another paper has estimated the time
Which is a
required as
pay-to-play journal.
216 million years for 2 nucleotides. However,
Yeah,
we will
that's
use the lower number
insane.
here. 3.
That's
Scaling this
insane.
to a 5-year reproductive age for whales and 2-year reproductive age for deer gives us 8 million years for a 2-nucleotide functional string and 200 million years for a 5NT string. Note, we have only 10 million years available for evolution of a deer-like creature to a whale. And that requires 425,000 functional nucleotide base pair strings. In the available 10 million years, we can generate and fix only 2 required nucleotides. This is far short of the 425,000
vast
functional
majority of
nucleotide
those-
base pairs that we need for whale
pause.
evolution.
Pause for a moment. The vast majority of those changes were not fixed by selection. They were probably fixed by
There's
neutral
drift.
evolution. Yeah.
Right, exactly. Yeah, most of these had, they weren't even. It wasn't even positive selection. It was just genetic drift. Oh,
And it's also important to remember, like even mutations that are functional and are beneficial can also be fixed by drift and not selection. It's not
right.
an important thing that many
Especially
people
in
overlook. Yeah,
smaller populations. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
No, because guys, Dan, who was it who said that selection works better in small populations. Which creationist was that? It was someone recently. It was very funny. I can't remember who. I think you'll know. Because it made Zach lose his mind. Anyway, but yeah, this is just silly. The math is silly. The assumptions are silly. It's all very silly. Okay, we can keep going.
Conclusion. So, genetics falsifies whale evolution. 4. The scientific
'em.
literature indicates that waiting time is exponential with required string length.
That was
That
Rob
is why
Carter.
2NT
Sorry.
requires
Yeah.
8 million years, whereas 5NT requires 200 million years. Based on an exponential relationship, 10NT should take 32 billion years, longer than the 14 billion year age of the universe. So, this places a clear limit on how much evolution can accomplish, and it definitely cannot create and fix the 425,000 NT needed for the evolution of whales from
Hey,
a
can we
deer-like
pause for a moment?
creature or a hippo-like.
There are, yeah. So it was Rob Carter in his, yeah, it was a paper. Okay, so you and Zach covered it last night. Okay, cool. You can look at extant populations like within the same species and find hundreds of like single nucleotide polymorphisms that have been fixed between two populations of the same species.
Mhm.
If you can find that in extant populations in the same species, this argument's just over. It's just done for. There's like literally, it's done. There's nothing you can say. Because as Dan well knows, and Zach and everyone else who works on this, like they don't ever use actual populations to model these things, right? They use these weird, bizarre mathematical models, with bizarre assumptions, and they just kind of ignore real world examples, right? Like we can find way more than just two nucleotides that have been fixed in like the different E. coli populations in the Linsky experiment, for instance. Right? I'm sure we can find way more than two nucleotides that have been fixed in like different human populations. So this argument is
Of course,
nonsense.
in such situations, they would say like, "Oh, bacteria have huge population sizes," and yeah, they are technically correct.
Well,
But
that's true, but you could do it for
yeah,
humans too. I'm sure
yeah,
we could find that there are way more than two nucleotides fixed, between like us and Tasmanians, for instance, or something like that. Right?
hmm
It's,
yeah.
it's a nonsense argument. It just doesn't work.
Also, I like what Try Sarah Tops has said. So someone revoked this person's keyboard privileges.
Revoke their keyboard privileges.
Yeah, because the arguments this person makes is just too bad.
Yeah. All right, we can keep going.
In all fairness, it does help because remember, Jackson, when I shot you a DM and said we might need more videos for this show. We're still on the
We're
first
still on the
one,
first one. Yeah.
and we're over an hour in.
Sorry.
So
Sorry. It's all right. Hey, we can keep doing with these next time. So there's that.
there is that.
Creature. 5. To establish 10 base pairs requires 32 billion years. And to
This is just
establish the
bananas.
needed 425,000 base pairs would require trillions and trillions of years, if that were even possible. Conclusion. So, genetics falsifies whale evolution. Genetics shows that there is not enough time in the entire 14 billion year history of the universe for the naturalistic evolution of whales. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe.
You're not welcome. You're not welcome.
Scientific literature versus.
Well, in all
All
fairness,
right. We're on to the second video.
they did help because everyone here should like, share, and subscribe. So it's nice
but
of
this
them.
video, not
Yeah.
his video.
But we're in this video, right? Not in their
Yeah.
video.
Exactly. Like, share, and subscribe to our channel.
Yes,
For
definitely.
me. Do it for me. Your favorite Jackson.
Evolution. 1. Scientist quote, "Selection based on survival of the fittest is insufficient for anything other than microevolution." Dr. Brown
I
and
don't know
Dr.
who-
Hollander.
Oh,
In
wait,
this video, we
pause.
provide
Pause. Okay, so
Yeah.
this video, I know what it is. This video is based on that paper, that really stupid paper that came out that's titled like evolution must mutate to survive or something, or sorry, Neo-Darwinism must mutate to survive, which is insane on its face. Like just the title alone is insane. Um yeah, but this is also kind of bananas. Calling natural selection survival of the fittest is crazy. That's just wild for any modern person, any modern scientist to do.
Yeah. Like of course Darwin borrowed that from
Herbert
Spencer.
Spencer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Herbert Spencer. Yeah.
Yeah.
In today's in today it's a very misleading and very yeah, and also very wrong to say, to
Mhm.
abstract that as survival of the fittest. It's also uh, prone to go into like a circular argument that
Right.
survive. Oh,
It's
the fittest are
tautological.
those that survive. Yes, tautological. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's yeah, you had people like Jerry Fodor yeah, arguing that like, oh, it's tautological. Well, like, yeah, that version would be
Hmm.
tautological. That's correct. Natural
Yeah.
selection as differential reproductive success in a population is not tautological. That's just
Yeah.
statistics, right?
Fit, fitness is not innate to the organism. It is like it depends on the environmental context.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's a big key that it does not make it tautological when you realize that. Of
Right.
course, I think like creations like Sal who are really not accepting this. Like they don't like it when fitness is like context dependent. They want it to
Hmm.
be like objective to the object, to the organism.
Right.
Fitness, yeah,
Right. Yeah, which is just silliness.
yeah.
All right, we can keep going.
Quotes and
Mhm.
discuss concepts from the following scientific paper.
See, there it is.
Neo-Darwinism must mutate to survive. Olin
Uh-huh.
Brown, David Hollander, Progress in Biophysics and Molecular Biology
There's your favorite
172,
paper, Dan.
2022, pages 24 to 38.
Oh,
Evolution believers believe that
2022?
naturalistic mega-evolution
Yeah.
has been proved to be true,
Hold on, pause for a
and that
moment.
microevolution
Like when I first saw that quote, I was like thinking, oh, it must be like in the 1970
No,
when
this
they
is a
say like,
recent paper.
oh my god, like it's
This came out, yeah. This
uh,
paper, it's like it's really weird. It's got a whole bunch of like weird creationist like tropes in it. It's very odd. It's a very bizarre
oh,
paper. I'd never heard of either of these guys
yeah.
before this, but now this paper's made the rounds and creationists are very happy with it. So, yeah. Oh,
Like in the 70s and 80s, you could say like, oh, evolution needs an update, but now we have many ideas that are being considered. So it's
right. Um,
Neo Darwinism is not really applicable anymore. Yeah.
Right. Vandalia 1998 for 499 says, I agree whales most likely couldn't have done any evolution 10 billion years ago. They're
Hmm.
oh, they got us there. Yeah, you're right. They got us there.
And also
Um
even the term neo-Darwinism is also a bit tricky. Like you could argue that like Darwinism is the postulations of Darwin, but
mhm.
then his first followers like adopted his views, except for like a few ones, like for example the pangenesis hypothesis of Darwin.
Oh, and
They
use and disuse.
yeah, also yeah,
Yeah.
so that has also been described as neo-Darwinism even before the synthesis between
Right.
Darwinism and Mendelian genetics. So the whole term neo-Darwinism is very confusing, to say the
Um
least.
I just
Yeah.
want to point out yeah, since Nestle made that point, Zach Hancock did a very good video on the history of Darwinism and neo-Darwinism. Um so yeah, he did a really good paper over on or a really good video over on his channel.
Hmm.
So go check that out. And he talks about, yeah, as Nestle just said, how neo-Darwinism Neo-Darwinism was originally used as a pejorative, kind of like how Big Bang was originally used as a pejorative,
Yeah.
skewer the opposition, but we don't use it that way anymore. Well, I guess we kind of use Neo-Darwinism as a pejorative again, right? It went through a
Yeah.
phase where it was like, yeah, Neo-Darwinism. Now it's Neo-Darwinism. So I do
This never happens to nobody calls physicists neo-Newtonians.
right. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just for
I
learning,
think
basically.
there's a reason they want to keep the name Darwin involved in anything that has anything to do with evolution,
Yeah.
because they want to make people think that nothing new has been discovered ever since
Right.
Darwin wrote his book. That's why they keep using that name. It's one of my pet peeves. Just call it evolution because everyone else does.
Well, and it's contradictory because on the one hand, they want to say, well, evolution hasn't changed at all, so they call it neo-Darwinism. But at the
Mhm.
same time, they say there's like all these new mechanisms of evolution that
Yeah.
demand,
Yeah,
evolution be totally redone. So it's like, well, wait, which is it? Is it evolution hasn't changed at all, or it has to be completely redone? You have to pick one of these. It can't be both.
they
You gotta pick a lane.
they love contradicting themselves, whether it's explaining the Bible or
I
explaining evolution or cosmology. It
Yeah.
I mean,
I think it's a very I
Ken
think it's
Ham
a
is
oh, sorry.
is one of the champions to do this.
Mhm.
What'd you say,
Yeah, I
Nestle?
think it's also a very convenient, for them, a very convenient term to use to make the entire field as small, to make it appear
Mhm.
as small as it can be.
Right.
Oh, it's only one person,
Yes.
an idea of only one person, like that, like that. Uh,
And a
Right.
fallible human at that.
yeah.
I do want to point out this is a very bizarre little statement we have up here that microevolution plus time gives us mega evolution, and as Science Side Up said, that's exactly what we do in Pokemon. Um,
There's a Pokemon thing, yes.
like I've
Uh,
never heard of. Well, that's not true. I have heard of mega evolution before, but only in like very old evolution stuff from like
Mm,
the 40s. I've not
no,
heard of
the
a really recent
the
mega
word
evolution stuff
the word isn't used, but after Noah's
or
Ark
quantum
landed
evolution.
on the mountains of Ararat, we did have microevolution giving us mega evolution to get to
Oh,
the
well, I
amount
mean
of
in like
species we have
the
today. So
I meant more in like the actual technical literature. I haven't seen I've seen like a few papers from like the 40s reference like mega evolution, but I don't think I've seen anything in the past like 20 years or so that references it. I don't know. I could be off, but that's my
what were they referring to about
basically like
uh,
macro mutation sort of stuff.
oh,
That sort of thing.
saltationism.
Yeah,
All
like
right.
saltationism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
But for the most part, nobody, takes that idea like very seriously anymore. So yeah.
Hmm.
Okay. Anyway,
Evolution
we can keep
plus
going.
time gives us mega evolution. However, there are
Mhm.
many scientific papers that show that that is not the case. We have
I
discussed
agree.
several of these in our previous videos. Every one of our key conclusions in our various videos about the falsification of Neo-Darwinism for mega evolution is now being presented by scientists and discussed in the scientific literature. Note,
Can we pause for a
we
second?
provide quotes from scientists.
So should we assume that they accept macroevolution since they've now jumped to mega evolution? They're like, okay, we accept micro and macroevolution, but we don't accept mega evolution here. Should we make that assumption? Kyle Pratt
Oh,
for
oh,
$1.99 says Robo Voice, list reading, content farm creationism. Yeah, basically. Yeah.
or they need mega evolution for post Noah's flood to have all the species necessary to repopulate the earth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would it require giga evolution?
Quantum evolution. Yeah.
Quantum evolution.
Hydroid says mega evolution is a feature in Pokemon Generation 6 and 7. Maybe
Oh.
yeah,
they
it's
got to get them all.
yeah. I think so.
Mm-hmm.
who, as far as we know, do believe in evolution. However, their research confirms that the core tenets of Neo-Darwinism have been falsified. For any level above adaptation of a species within a genus or family,
Wait, so
this
they don't
means that
accept
random chance
they
and
don't accept speciation? Is that what they're saying?
Within a genus or family. All right.
Wait, so are they saying they that's so weird because adaptation doesn't occur within a genus or family. Adaptation occurs within a species. That's really weird. I don't know.
natural selection cannot create the entire biosphere, and neither can any of the mechanisms in the modern synthesis or the extended synthesis. So, naturalistic mega-evolution is false. It is a car with no engine and no wheels. Scientist quote, selection
every
based
time they
on
say
survival
the
of the
word,
fittest is
it gets
insufficient
the
for
chuckle out of
anything
me.
other than micro.
I love it how they come up with mega evolution and then say that it's false. It just made it up.
Like,
Yep.
Of course it's false.
Yeah. Yeah. They kind of did, didn't they? Yeah, Noah literally did catch them all bit cores, you're right. Yeah. Selection based on survival of the fittest is insufficient for anything other than microevolution. See, that's what I'm talking about with the weird, like, creationist statements. That's one of the things. Very odd.
I love
Oh, well.
how they put that there. Scientist quote.
Mm-hmm.
Because that makes it more true.
Evolution, Dr. Brown and Dr. Hollander. My comment. This is consistent with what we have stated in several of our videos. Random chance and natural selection do work for microevolution, adaptation of species inside a genus or family.
See, what does it even
However,
mean?
they do not have the ability to create higher taxa, kingdom, phylum, class, order, from lower species. So, they do not work for mega
What does that
evolution,
even mean?
single cell to human evolution.
What?
Quote,
What?
macroevolution, required for all speciation events and the complexifications appearing in the Cambrian explosion, are shown to be probabilistically highly implausible, on the order of 10 to the power of minus 50.
Wait,
When
pause.
based on selection.
Wait. Hold on. So is it? So we're against macroevolution too, and mega evolution? I don't understand. So wait, it says required for all speciation events. See, this is what I'm saying. It seems like they're saying speciation is impossible.
yeah.
Like I guess you.
Or in this case, only for the Cambrian, apparently. Like,
Yeah, that's I guess so. I guess
like,
speciation is impossible.
and the figure they give, 10 to the power of minus 50. Is it like in reference to what's his name again? About the probability of a protein.
Douglas Axe.
Yeah, that person. Maybe not the same figure, but it reminds me of that. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying, but that's I don't even understand what math they could have possibly done to get that figure. I don't know.
Is it from the same paper? But like it's the same. It's again the same doctors they quote here, right? From Brown and
this is from that
Yeah.
Neo-Darwinism must mutate to survive.
So that's the same paper again. Like I'm curious. I want to read. I want to read that paper now. I will save that. All right.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
By survival of the fittest, Dr. Brown and Dr. Hollander. My comment, low-level speciation within a genus is within the ability of microevolution. Random
Wait a
chance with
second.
natural
Wait.
selection.
Pause. Hold on. You just said, you literally just read a paper that said speciation could not happen in the Cambrian, and now you're like, no, it's fine. Like, which is it? Is it fine or is it not fine? literally
Oh,
back to back,
you have low level speciation within a
as opposed to
genus, but
high-level
high level
speciation.
speciation within the family. I don't know what
Because
it
like
means. Yeah.
he has back-to-back quotes that contradict each other. Fascinating. Okay. Sorry, that's so stupid.
However,
Imagine being this dumb.
mega-evolution, what Dr. Brown and Dr. Hollander call complexifications appearing in the Cambrian explosion, is not within the abilities of random chance and natural selection, survival of the fittest. Quote, "We conclude that macroevolution via survival of the fittest is not salvageable by arguments for random genetic drift and other proposed mechanisms." My comment,
Cool.
this is consistent with our view that macroevolution, low-level speciation, via natural selection, survival of the fittest, cannot create complete...
Pause. I'm so confused now. I'm so confused. So he does accept... None of this makes any sense. They literally just read a paper that said macroevolution cannot happen.
And
I'm so
within
confused.
seconds, they said you have microevolution, which is low-level speciation, and now macroevolution is low-level speciation. Make your mind
But they
up.
also don't accept macroevolution because it can't produce new species. Oh my god. This is so stupid. Oh, is this all GPT bitcores? Maybe, but it's even more dumb, I think. I don't think Chat GPT would make something this dumb and contradictory, like immediately contradictory.
Yeah. So what is low-level
Good lord.
speciation? Is that macro or microevolution? Because it could be both.
It appears to be both.
Yes.
I guess. Okay.
new body plans and completely new higher taxa, kingdom, phylum, class, order, and neither can random genetic drift or any of the other mechanisms of the modern synthesis or the extended synthesis.
Okay.
Quote, "Biological evolution must face the known deficiencies, especially the limitations of the concept survival of the fittest." Quote, "Microevolution is empirically confirmed and explainable by survival of the fittest." My comment,
And also,
I agree.
macroevolution
Quote,
is apparently
"Reasonable scientific challenges to evolutionary theories, like other theories in science, should be explored." My comment, indeed, however in real life, evolution believers are hostile to any challenge to evolution. This
Okay.
confirms that belief in naturalistic
Wah.
mega-evolution is actually a form of blind faith.
Projection.
Wah.
Projection. That's,
Yeah, projection.
Because that's
Yep.
not true.
Every accusation is a confession.
Apparently, I was wrong. ChatGPT would be immediately contradictory. Okay, I apologize. I tried to defend ChatGPT and I was wrong. My bad, guys. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, this is dumb.
Still, ChatGPT is still more intelligent than the average creationist.
That I agree with. Yes.
Or atheist religion. Quote, "Mainstream biology remains opposed to any opposition to the central concepts of evolution." My comment, this is consistent with my comment above. Quote, "We focus on survival of the fittest, questioning its sufficiency for a central role, both traditionally and today."
How is this an argument?
Probably because it doesn't happen.
Comment. This is consistent with my comment above. Yeah, if your comments are consistent, that says nothing about whether or not it's correct. You just made comments.
Oh, Kyle Pratt says, "Why are all these tiny dinosaurs in the video with these robo words?" Because these are also robots. They're drones, obviously. So the robot in the video is showing other robots.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly. That's what's happening here.
And the bird on
Gotta keep
screen,
up.
the bird on screen right now is thinking, what? What? Look.
Biological evolution. My comment. This is consistent with what we have said in many videos. Natural selection does not have the ability to create the higher taxa or completely new body plans.
I
Quote,
wonder.
Yeah,
Here,
this
pause for a second. I wonder if nobody's proposing that, like, natural selection is exclusively responsible for body plan changes. I wonder if like no one's proposing that because no one's proposing that. It's just not true. No one thinks that. Crazy stuff. I know. It's wild, but it's true. Natural selection is not the only mechanism of evolution. It's wild stuff. Birds are not real. I agree. These are all fake.
No, they're spy drones, apparently.
Dapper is the only real dinosaur we know.
Well, but
Anyway.
is he though? I mean, I've seen animated versions of him. I've never
clearly.
seen a real picture.
I mean, if he weren't real, how could he be talking to us?
Yes,
I mean,
but
it makes sense to me.
you know, we do have the saying "pics are it didn't happen," and animations don't count. Sorry.
We are critical of accepting without question Darwinian evolution and Neo-Darwinism, including what is generally referred to as the modern synthesis.
Okay.
My comment. Unfortunately, Neo-Darwinism is presented as unquestionable dogma, i.e., not
More
science,
projection.
but rather a blind faith in our society, schools, colleges, and culture. Summary. These quotations from the scientific paper, listed above, are consistent with what we have said in several videos. Neo-Darwinism, random chance, and natural selection has been falsified for anything more than microevolution, adaptation of a species within a genus or family. This means that random chance and natural selection cannot.
Didn't they just say that speciation can happen if it's low level speciation, either micro or
Whatever
macro
that
evolution, and now they're saying macro evolution doesn't happen, speciation doesn't happen. Do you read your own script?
I don't think so. I think they just type it up like in a fevered rush, and then just like put it through the AI, but they don't ever have to read it. So yeah.
Probably writing a script is a real strain, so they have to do that in chunks. So every once in a while they stop writing and come back to it after a few weeks and don't realize what they just wrote and then write something that's completely contradict. I don't know.
Create the entire biosphere, and neither can any of the mechanisms in the modern synthesis or the extended synthesis.
He just said the same thing 5
naturalistic
times.
mega-evolution is false. It is a car with no engine and no wheels. Thanks to Dr. Von Mancha for bringing this paper to our attention. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe.
It's true. Like, share, and subscribe my videos. Do it. Do it now.
Scientific literature versus evolution. 2. Scientist
Okay.
quote,
All right.
natural selection is inadequate for macroevolution, mega-evolution, which requires multiple incremental changes that, individually, are not functionally
Wait,
more
pause.
advanced.
So
Pause.
macroevolution is now
wait.
mega
Hold on.
evolution?
Okay, so which requires multiple incremental changes that individually are not functionally more. Well, that's just a lie. Well, of course there's more, Dan. We have like 5 videos to get through, you silly goose. Or as Warmbo says, you silly goat. Yeah, so this is nonsense. Like this is contradictory to like the underlying theory of evolution, right? Because if we're talking about the selection for like a trait, becoming more and more adapted over generations to some selective pressure in the environment, each of the incremental changes is going to be, functionally more advanced, quote, quote, than the previous version. That's how it gets selected. It is better on average at allowing the possessors to have more offspring than the competitors. That's the whole point. That's literally just natural selection. So
You also have processes that are neutral. It's also able to increase complexity. Like if you look up constructive neutral evolution, you can find some really interesting stuff.
Well, right, but they're saying,
Yeah.
and that's true, but they're saying natural selection specifically doesn't do this. But like that's literally what natural selection is. That is what it does. It incrementally selects slightly better variants.
Mhm.
Or slightly more, efficient variants or whatever. Like, that's literally what it is. So when they're saying this, it just seems like they don't functionally grasp what natural selection is. They just don't understand even the basics of it. So, yeah. Yes, the Hypnotoad. He's convincing us that creationism is true.
Dr. Brown and Dr. Hollander. In this video, we provide additional quotes and discuss concepts from the
Cool.
following scientific paper.
Oh, goody. Quotes.
I have quote minds.
Quotes.
I brought
Right.
quote minds with me.
Yeah.
Well, it's a bad paper, in fairness, so there's a lot they
Yeah.
can take from it.
But
James-
it reminded me of who was the guy again? That
Matt Powell, when he said, I am quote mining?
Yeah, what was it? Was it not the bit of orange guy that said, "Oh, I brought quote mines"? Or
Was
it
it?
the
Was
other
it a bit
guy?
of orange?
I
thought
think
it
it
was
was a
Matt
bit of
Powell.
orange.
And maybe
Or
you're right.
maybe
You could be
I don't
right.
know. Yeah.
I don't remember, but yeah, one of the silly creationists was like, "Yes, I am quote mining." So,
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah.
As if it was a good thing. to
Well,
quote mine.
some do think that quote mining means go looking for quotes.
Yeah. It's
Totally
like
So
My child
yeah.
spent a long day in the quote mines.
Yes.
the
And-
quote
and-
mine.
RJ called it, wow, Christianity 101 is nothing but authority quoting. Yes, that's it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Neo-Darwinism must
When
mutate.
Casey Luskin arrives home. Sorry, honey, I was in the quote mines.
It was Matt Powell. Yeah, DM
That was Matt- oh, right.
artificially selected ceratopsian wing. Yeah. Okay. And Vadim. Thank you guys. Yeah,
To survive.
yeah. Sorry, I'll let it go.
Olin Brown, David Hollander, Progress in Biophysics and Molecular Biology, 172, 2022, pages 24 to 38. Evolution believers believe that naturalistic mega-evolution has been proved to be true, and that microevolution plus time gives us mega-evolution.
Correct.
However,
that is
there are
true.
many scientific papers that show that that is not the case. We have discussed several of these in our previous videos.
This
Every
is the
one of our key
same.
conclusions in our various videos
This is
about
the
the
same
falsification
exact
of
thing that
Neo-Darwinism.
the last video said. This is like line for line the same thing the last video said.
Yeah.
Am I crazy? This sounds like the exact same stuff.
It's like the Bible.
Let's just let it play.
It's like the Bible, repetitions make it true.
AI generated.
It may be it may just be the intro. It may just be the intro. Okay, let's let it go for a little bit.
It's like the Bible. If you repeat a thing, who said that? Kent Hovind. You repeat
Well, it's the big
something
ats,
often enough and loud enough, people will believe it.
Is
How-
this the origin of like mega evolution comes or replaces macroevolution?
We don't know. We'll have to see how many creationists are
Will we
going
be
to.
the ones who like uncovered this?
Yeah. Let's wait and see how many creationists are now going to use mega evolution. That would be fun
Yeah.
to see.
For mega-evolution is now being presented by scientists and discussed in the scientific literature.
Okay.
Note, we provide quotes from scientists.
So wait a minute. It's now being discussed in the scientific literature, and you didn't hear about mega evolution, Jackson? What are you doing? Aren't
I
you
guess I'm
reading
behind.
anything anymore? What?
Apparently not. I'm just behind on the times.
Yes. You need to spend more time studying and less hanging around in an aquarium taking pictures of fish to put on Twitter.
Well, you know
Who,
what?
as far
If reading technical papers were like a full-time job that paid me a full-time salary, then I would do that. But alas.
Oh, maybe in due time, Jackson. Who knows?
Yeah, sure.
we know do believe in evolution. However, their research confirms that the core tenets of Neo-Darwinism have been falsified for any level
Okay.
above adaptation of a species within a genus or family.
Uh-huh.
This
we've
means
heard,
that random chance
They had me there for a second. Someone asked in the chat, "Is that Ken Ham in a lab coat?" I had to look. It did look eerily similar. Sorry.
Kinda. Yeah, it kinda did look like him.
And natural selection cannot create the entire biosphere, and
This is the
neither can
same.
any of the mechanisms in the modern synthesis or the extended synthesis. So,
Okay.
naturalistic mega-evolution is false. It is a car with no engine and
Oh
no
my
wheels.
goodness!
Jesus
It's the same
Christ.
video!
Natural selection is inadequate for macroevolution, mega-evolution, which requires multiple incremental changes that, individually,
Peter,
are
are
not
you
function-
sure you have not downloaded the same video twice by
No,
accident?
no.
Well, it's a different background.
Yeah, it's a different background. And I have to say, a car with no wheels. Ask James Bond about that, because he did have a car with no wheels. It was a Lotus, and it could dive. So yes, cars with no wheels,
Okay.
they work too.
Okay.
functionally more advanced. Dr. Brown and Dr. Hollander, my
Hey,
comment.
it's an ADAC.
This is consistent with what we have stated in several of our videos.
Yes, because
Random
you're
chance and
repeating.
natural selection.
All the
do
videos say
work.
the same thing.
If you repeat, if you keep repeating the same lines, then it is consistent what you have said in several videos, because they're the same words. Yes,
He's like, evolution is false, just as I said in the last video, which also said evolution is false, just like I said in the last video.
yes. I mean, how stupid can you get?
Savage geological species concept Cobra for $2, but have you considered A? Uh,
and this video, but have you considered A again?
right? As we said in our last video, A. Yeah. We've referred to A in several videos now.
Yes. They're kind of quote mining their own videos for some reason.
They quote mine themselves.
Yes. They have a great. They have,
Very, very efficient.
yes. Our channel's a gigantic quote mine.
Or microevolution, adaptation of species inside a genus or family. However, they do not have the ability to create higher taxa, kingdom, phylum, class, order, from lower species.
Feel 'em.
So they do not.
I'm thinking. So for Arn Ross, reading Joseph's myth, we have an it came to pass counter. Should we have a counter here as well for the cars with no wheels and it can't happen? And because this is just getting silly.
We start a drinking rules, but we just get like liver failure by the end of the episode.
Yes, yes,
The-
and we're gonna go bankrupt.
The phylum bit. But the phylum bit, that sounds like a Nephilim freeism.
It sure does. Yeah, like the
Stapes.
tibula.
and the
Or sorry,
stapes.
the fibula. Sorry,
Yeah. Also, it's the stapes or stapes.
the state. Yeah, or What does he say? Australopithecus or whatever.
Yeah, Australia bit, I guess. Yeah.
Or sorry, yeah, tibula. Yeah, tibula was another one. Yeah,
Phylum.
the phylum. Yep. Yeah. Ugh.
Can you feel it? I feel them.
Work for mega evolution, single cell to human evolution. Quote, survival of the fittest. This adequately explains many microevolutionary changes where, for example, a single mutation produces a significant result, and there are strong environmental selective forces.
Christianity.
My comment,
Wait, Peter, pause.
natural selection can
Christianity 101 coming out in favor of macromutationism. Apparently. Yeah.
We're back to
You'll be
my
surprised
cup.
to find out they copy paste a lot of content on the website articles. Huh.
Yeah, we're back to my comment, which is also a recurring thing, which is consistent with my comment. That was the exact same comment I posted in the video before and the video before that. So we're consistent because my comments are consistent. So therefore,
As I've
evolution
consistently
is false.
said in the past 10 consistent videos.
Yes.
can explain microevolution, but not mega evolution. Quote,
Okay.
however, natural selection
Tucker.
is inadequate for macroevolution, mega evolution, which requires multiple incremental
Oh my
changes
god,
that
they've said this
individually are
one
not
quote
functionally more
3
advanced.
times.
My comment disagrees with my comment above.
Oh, damn. Yeah, you had to point
my
that out.
my comment was very good.
Ah,
My comment was very good.
yes.
No.
Damn.
With only selection of the fittest, biology is deficient mechanistically for most macroevolutionary changes. My comment. This is exactly what we have said in several videos. Natural selection cannot...
This is exactly what you have said 3 times now in this video alone.
It's the same thing. He just keeps repeating himself.
Oh,
Oh my god.
oh.
I think you need to fix your text to speech machine, because it might be a
Yeah.
broken record instead.
Yes. It's one of those old tape recorders that had the tape on a loop to create an echo, and that's what they used to record this.
They like put a microphone next to a next to like a vinyl disc, but it's like it's reached the end of its
Yeah.
the like sound, so it's just going and it's looping. Yeah.
not create completely new body plans and completely new higher taxa, kingdom, phylum, class, order.
But it pronounced phylum
Macroevolution,
correctly.
however, requires major changes necessitating multiple changes that logically most frequently occur in multiple genomes. Therefore, the concept
What?
survival of the fittest is inadequate to conserve individual changes in multiple genomes, where the individual changes generate no increased fitness. Quote,
Wait,
the burden
what?
is too great for survival of the fittest to select evolutionary changes that accomplish all evolutionary novelty. Quote, thus, evolution lacks a sufficient mechanism for multifactorial selections because a process that looks forward is non-random, deterministic, or occurs by an unknown biological process is required.
No. That
Thus,
is just
survival of the fittest
false.
is illogical when proposed as adequate for selecting the origination of all complex, major, new body types and metabolic functions.
Yeah,
because
because
the
no
multiple
one
changes
says
in
that.
multiple genomes that are required have intermediate stages without advantage.
Wait,
Selection
pause.
would not reasonably
Pause. Okay, so again, no, okay, but first of all, natural selection is not proposed to explain all evolutionary changes. That's just false. But also, he keeps saying, or she, they, it, whatever, keeps saying that the intermediate steps do not have advantage. Again, that's just categorically false. The whole point, if we're talking about natural selection, the point of natural selection is that the intermediate stages all have functionality. Now, it's not always true in evolution that all the intermediate stages have are advantageous, and that's what Nestle was talking about earlier
Yeah.
with constructive
Yeah,
neutral
some
evolution.
steps may be neutral. Yeah.
Right, but the paper's talking about natural selection and is at the same time saying that the steps are not without are without advantage. Like that's contradictory. That's literally not what natural selection does. Also, savage geological species concept cobra for $2 says Chat GPT at home. Yeah, no, we don't need Chat GPT. We have Chat GPT at home. And Kyle Pratt for $1.99 says it's a creationist Furby. Yeah.
Yes. And I can't wait for the batteries to run out, because then at least we're going to have some cool content. Because that's what the Furbies did, right? They became these ghosts that started talking in the middle of the night.
Oh yeah, Vadim, you're right. I should have said like lady theys and gentle thems. Yeah.
Well, I have to say, I have to commend this channel for being very environmentally friendly, because they are recycling the materials very well.
Yeah, that's true.
I also would like to recommend it because most of the animals they use are animals from the Netherlands. I don't know if you've noticed that, Nestle, but
I think many of them are also
Oh
found
my
in other
gosh.
places. Yeah.
Oh
lot
my
of
gosh, we can't put I'm sending Peter Nestling, I'm sending you guys a meme that Camilla just sent me. I'm putting it in our Twitter group. You guys have to see this. It's so funny. But it perfectly encapsulates the video we're watching right now.
All right.
Hold
Give
on.
me
Let
a
me.
minute.
Okay, I just sent
I'm
it. You guys
unmuting.
just-
I'm unmuting because I want to let my reaction be heard. All right.
Okay.
Loading. Takes a while to load. It takes so long to load. Why?
This perfectly encapsulates this video.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
I'm gonna, Camilla. I'm
Can
gonna
we
post
can
that
we
on.
show it? Can we show it?
We can't share screens like midstream. We
no.
have to do it in advance. I'll post it on Twitter.
Well,
post it on Twitter.
Jackson, you say that.
Well, can you? Are you able to do that? There it is.
There it is.
So, that's this video. That's what this is.
Yes. My comment. This agrees with my comment.
Thank you, Camilla. I
you very much.
appreciate that. That's perfect.
Can
It's
that
so
be the
good.
new thumbnail for the next video?
That should be it for this one. I'm changing it.
Yes.
I'll change it afterwards. Yeah. Okay.
No,
That's so good. I love
Jackson,
it.
you can use it for the next one. I mean,
You think so? Okay. All right.
yeah,
we'll use it for the next one.
because at the start of this one we didn't have this, but we're continuing through because we're still on part 2, so we have part 3 to go. So
and then also the predictions one. Yeah.
Yes.
You're right. Okay. You're right.
There's going to be more repetitions.
Oh, that's so good. That's so good. Oh man. Okay. All right. We can keep going.
Occur and disadvantage or death would logically prevail. Quote.
So, anyone else notice that it's quote, but they don't say where the quote came from?
Well, it's from the same paper. It's from the Neo-Darwinism Must Mutate to Survive paper.
Oh, so we just have to assume this? We're not going to use a quote and then the source of the quote? Because earlier...
Well, they cited it at the very beginning.
Oh, okay.
It's the same paper as the one they cited at the start. They just keep quoting it over and over.
So they don't want to repeat where the quote came from, but they do want to repeat their own comments. Got it.
Yes. Uh-huh.
In addition to the necessity for non-existent fossil transitional forms, there are non-advantaged transitional metabolic types with incomplete processes. Example, less than 8 of the Krebs cycle enzymes that arguably are not improvements, lack survival value, and would not meet any reasonable...
Pause. Okay, so again, there are lots and lots of modifications on the Krebs cycle. What on earth are you talking about? And I'm pretty sure we have papers on the evolution of the Krebs cycle, don't we?
I would think so, yes.
I'm pretty sure. But also the idea that we have like no transitional fossils, that's just they're creationists, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure those guys are just creationists. Like I don't know how else to explain this nonsense.
Yeah.
I think they're just creationists.
There are actually organisms which don't have a Krebs cycle. It's more like a fork. Like it goes like into one and then it splits and it doesn't make a full circle basically. There are those.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in all fairness, it is Christianity 101, so they have to be creationists. Because that's Christianity 101. Right? Genesis 1:1.
criterion of being fitter or fittest. Summary. These quotations from the scientific paper listed above are consistent with what we have said in several videos. Neo-Darwinism, random chance and natural selection, has been falsified for anything more than microevolution, adaptation of a species within a genus or family. This means that random chance and natural selection cannot create the entire biosphere, and neither can any of the mechanisms in the modern synthesis or the extended synthesis. So, naturalistic mega-evolution is false, It is a car with no engine and no wheels.
Ah,
Thanks to
And there it
Dr.
is
Von
again.
Mancha for bringing this paper to our attention. Thanks for watching. Please
And
like, share, and
another
subscribe.
medal around
So
your neck.
let's pause for now. Okay, so we'll pick that up next time because we just have 4 minutes till we hit the 2-hour mark. So yeah, all right.
Like when she said the exact same quote again about a car with no wheels. I imagine another Obama coming behind, coming behind the other ones in the meme.
Yeah, just another. There you go. Here's your medal. Here's your medal.
There you go. Another medal for you, sir.
These videos, at least the first one, had like a semblance of an argument, even though it was all things we've seen before, obviously. But like the scientists versus evolution one has literally just been one paper that they just quote over and over and over from, and that's it. There's nothing else to it. There's no argument. So
I'm
I
gonna.
don't know.
I think I'm gonna make something for the next show. We'll see. We have.
I really like the Obama giving Obama a medal. I really like that one. That was pretty darn funny.
It's
But
very good thumbnail for the next one. I really like that.
yes. Yeah, so that was so yeah, those have been terrible, and I'm sure that the third one of those will also be terrible. I am curious to see what the predictions one says. I'm willing to bet it's going to be things that evolution not only doesn't predicts but like precludes specifically. Like, it's going to be crocoduck or something like that. It'll be like, why are there no cat dog hybrids in the fossil record? Do your own 4-hour plagiarism takedown video for YouTube creationists.
I have an idea.
I like the comment that Deem artificially selected ceratopsian wing said, "We have more." The other videos repeats everything from the first two videos. Yes, we have more of the same. And the same.
Like for every stream we do or reacting to this channel, what we should do is having the thumbnail, each progressive thumbnail, the lines of Obama's become longer and longer.
That would be very funny. I did actually. I watched the whole H Bomber guy's entire 4-hour video in one sitting. Which, I mean, I didn't have anything else to do, so I was like, yeah, why not?
Which one?
Have you guys? He's a YouTuber called H Bomber Guy. He puts out one video a year, and for the last 4 years, he's been he'll just destroy somebody's channel. He puts out. That's what he's been doing for the past few years. He did. Was it Tommy Tallarico last year? It was Andrew Wakefield before that. It's just each year he just completely erases somebody's career. It's been really funny. It's at the end of the year, and every YouTuber is biting their fingernails, being like, "Will he destroy my career this year?"
My favorite quote was you have Ben Shapiro saying "Oh, if climate change was true, then the people would sell their beach houses to everybody else." And H Bomber is like, "Sell them houses to who, Ben? Fucking Aquaman." It was really funny.
Yeah, and Ben actually he did a little he even referenced that joke on Twitter one time, which is but.
And
yeah. When I saw the Obama meme, I was thinking of Tommy Tallarico winning the award multiple times from his own award ceremony. Smitty. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, him just giving himself the awards. Yeah. Right, exactly. As Command Cyborg says, if you haven't hit like, do it. Do it now.
Yeah. You should have. Yeah. You should have done it at least twice, 3 times already, because that's what the channel said. Like, subscribe.
That is unfortunately true. Andrew Wakefield will continue to have his career as long as he promotes his garbage. So okay. Anyways, we're at the 2-hour mark. So well, thank you, Peter and Neslig, for being here, for participating in the show, as always.
Yes.
Thank you both. And thank you to everybody who watched in the live chat. I appreciate all of you. So thank you everybody for watching, and we will see all of you next Thursday.
See you next
So,
time.
bye everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Mhm.